What's the story, guys? Welcome back. So, today I have a new series for you. It's called Traffic Talk, where I will be discussing the kind of latest, biggest issues that I find interesting online, and I will bring you my opinion on them basically. It's okay if you don't agree with me, it's just an opinion, and if you don't, or even if you do, please comment below and tell me what you think. So, this episode is all about No Man's Sky because it's the greatest game ever. Except it's not, it turns out. It's all lies. At least according to a good few reaction videos I've seen, a few posts on Reddit and things like that. People are getting pretty passionate now about it. One of the biggest things is a Reddit post I found where people were complaining that two people were on the exact same planet and they couldn't see each other, they couldn't find each other. And apparently, this is something the developers promised you would be able to do. Now, this could be like an MGS5 thing, you know, where the multiplayer is added later, or maybe did the developers lied, and if they did, that's a much bigger issue. I think whatever developer says, especially to the media, you need to take it with a grain of salt. You need to, like, this has been happening for a long time. Like, they'll say whatever to hype up their game, and if you've been around games long enough, I think, I think you know rather what they're saying is actually going to be like that or not. I think people have this idea of what No Man's Sky should have been, and it's maybe not living up to their expectations, which is understandable. But in saying that, if you've been around playing games for long enough and following gaming news, you should probably know that it mightn't live up to all the hype. Now, that brings up a broader issue: is how accountable are developers to what they claim you can do in games. As I said, this might be added in later, but that's not the only big controversy people are talking about. One of the things this reminds me of is MGS2, Metal Gear Solid 2. I remember buying that game as a kid. I was really into it, really looking forward to it for so long. I loved the first one, and when it came out, everyone's favourite character, Solid Snake, you could only play with for about half an hour before you had to play the rest of the game pretty much as Raiden. And I remember being so mad. I remember feeling like I'd been ripped off, and that's probably how people who are playing No Man's Sky, that were really invested in it, are feeling now. And it is those people that affects. It's the ones like that were really invested in this kind of game. Now, I think people kind of expected too much at the same time. No Man's Sky was never going to be a game changer. If you had seen the footage and had it been this amazing stuff, then that's different. But I think everyone should know at this stage. Wait until you see the gameplay before you decide whether this is the greatest game of all time or not. The problem comes on both ends. I think people expected too much, and I think people also might have been ripped off. Maybe did the developer? It seems like he did claim it would be a lot kind of different than what it is now, especially with the planets. That's the thing that shocked. Well, it didn't shock me. The planets they are diverse enough, but at the end of the day, it's a game, so they're not that different. They all fall under a certain category, and then certain things change, like colors and maybe the type of environment. But at the end of the day, you can still tell it all falls into a certain pattern, and it's the same with the races that you run into. But like at the end of the day, as I said, if you know games, then you know that there's been games out like this before, and that's the way it is. There's only so much you can do. It's a game. It's following an algorithm, and the nature of algorithms is that eventually they will repeat themselves. So I do think that the developer has something to answer for, like, especially with regards to the multiplayer thing. If people do think that he did it, there's a bit of talk about whether he actually claimed or not, but a lot of people seem to think he did, and if he did, then he does have to kind of be held accountable to that, I think. The final thing I think that needs to be discussed is if you should buy the game or not. I still think it's a good game for what it is if you're into those sort of games, and that's the important thing. Games like Fallout 4, Destiny, you know, the Division, games where you really have to grind out. I think if you enjoy those games, you will enjoy this. There was a bit of talk about someone managed to get to the end of the game, the center of the universe, in 12 hours, but in saying that, you can also do that in Fallout 4. If you just play the main story missions, you can get to the end really quickly. That's not what these type of games are about. They're about, you know, doing all the exploring, doing all the side missions, gathering resources. You know, if you have time to play those games, then they're great games to play. Like, that's why I don't really play games like that. The last game like that I got was Fallout 4, and I couldn't complete it just because it took too long to do everything. You know, it depends on what you like. If you only like playing one game a year, one or two games a year even, then you can dedicate your time to it. If you don't, if you like playing a few games a year, then this is something that you should really stay away from. I still think the game is a good game for that type of game, and I still think that if you enjoy those games, you'll enjoy this one as well. I don't think it's a massive game changer or anything, but I still think if you enjoy those games, you will enjoy this. It is a good game. But yes, that's my opinion on it. If you take something different, please let me know and write in the comments below. If you agree with me, tell me why, and I will see you in the next one.